This is the Sultanate of Oman television live from this news center of the television. First, the headlines. Iran says it is not in hurry to see the U.S. return to a 2015 nuclear deal with major powers after Joe Biden takes office this month, but urging to lift the sanctions imposed by Trump after quitting the deal. The World Health Organization experts issues recommendations that the interval between administering 2 doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine can be extended to up to 6 weeks. And the Sultanate celebrates the Omani Environment Day amid tireless efforts to conserve the environment and protect its natural resources. Thank you for joining us. And once again, good evening. Those were the headlines, and now the details. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei today said that Iran is in no hurry to see the U.S. return to a 2015 nuclear deal with major powers after Joe Biden takes office this month. Ali Khamenei said it was not a question of whether the United States returns or not. It was a matter of it lifting its unilateral sanctions. He said their demand, which is both logical and rational, is the lifting of sanctions that outgoing U.S. President Donald Trump imposed after quitting the deal in 2018. Biden, who is set to replace Trump on January 20th, has signaled a willingness to return the United States to the deal known formally as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. Khamenei's remarks came shortly after Iran's Revolutionary Guards disclosed its underground tunnels and depot containing missiles in the south of the country near the strategic Strait of Hormuz. The World Health Organization experts have issued recommendations saying that the interval between administrations of 2 doses of Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine can be extended to up to 6 weeks. WHO's Strategic Advisory Group of Experts on Immunization formally published its advice saying an interval of 21 to 28 days between the doses is recommended. But the United Nations Health Agency also noted some countries face exceptional circumstances of vaccine supply constraints combined with a high disease burden, and some have been considering delaying the administration of a second dose as a way to broaden initial coverage. Congressional Democrats accused U.S. President Donald Trump of inciting insurrection and weighed up impeaching him for a second time after supporters fired up by his false claims of election fraud stormed the U.S. Capitol this week. Amid mounting calls for his removal from office, Trump finally denounced the violence that left 5 people dead, including a police officer. House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer called on Vice President Mike Pence and Trump's cabinet to invoke the Constitution's 25th Amendment, which allows them to strip the president of his powers if he cannot discharge the duties of his office. With Trump's term almost expired, it was not clear whether there would be enough time to complete the impeachment process. Some economic reforms that emerged after North Korea's Kim Jong-un took power are under threat as his government responds to a series of crises by reasserting states' controls, casting doubt on one of the young leader's signature issues. As Kim welcomed thousands of delegates to a rare Congress of the Workers' Party this week in Pyongyang, North Korea faces perhaps the most challenging environment since a famine devastated the country in the 1990s. With North Korea's economy already under siege from international sanctions imposed over its nuclear weapons programs, last year the country was further affected by damaging floods and an economical devastating lockdown aimed at preventing a coronavirus outbreak. Kim has made the economy a central aspect of his rule, and since he came to power in 2011, cell phones, solar panels, and other consumer items have proliferated. Oman crude oil price February delivery increased by 12 cents as to reach $54 and 48 cents per barrel. Globally, oil prices kept their level at the highest price reached in 11 months, nearing $55 per barrel. Brent crude oil increased by 13 cents, reaching $54.51 per barrel, while American crude increased 14 cents as to reach $50.97 per barrel. The Sultanate celebrates today Omani Environment Day amid tireless efforts to conserve the environment and protect its natural resources. The celebration this year comes under the theme Cooperative Society for Sustainable Environment, in embodiment of the importance of joint cooperation to preserve the environment among public and private sectors. His Excellency Dr. Abdullah bin Ali Al Amri, Chairman of the Environment Authority, stated that Oman Vision 2040 is based on 4 pillars that includes the environment pillar. He added that the Sultanate, under the wise leadership of His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq, exerts strenuous efforts to protect the environment and biodiversity of Oman. Wilayats of the Sultanate witnessed today a sharp decrease in temperature, which reached below zero in a number of mountainous areas in the governorates of Dakhiliya and Al-Dhahira. These scenes are from Ar-Sara mountain in the Wilaya of Ibri in the governorate of Al-Dhahira, where snow covered the mountain. And now for the international news. The European Union's Copernicus Climate Change Service said today that last year tied with 2016 as the world's warmest on record, rounding off the hottest decade globally as the impacts of climate change intensified. 44 after an exceptionally warm autumn and winter in Europe, the continent experienced its hottest year on record in 2020, while the Arctic suffered extreme heat and atmospheric concentrations of planet-warming carbon dioxide continue to rise. Scientists said that the latest data underscored the need for countries and corporations to slash greenhouse gas emissions quickly enough to bring within the reach the goals of the 2015 Paris Agreement to avoid catastrophic climate change. In 2020, temperatures globally were an average of 1.25 degrees Celsius higher than in pre-industrial times. Spain's capital, Madrid, and much of the neighboring region of Castilla-La Mancha were on high alert today for what meteorologists expect to be the heaviest snowfall in decades brought by the storm Filomena. Such events are rare in the region and tend to be disruptive to daily life and mobility, coming at a time when people are returning home after Christmas and New Year holidays. This year, however, there is less traffic than usual due to restrictions to curb the coronavirus pandemic. A spokesman for the state meteorological agency said the city was probably facing the heaviest snowfall, at least so far in 21st century. Light snow already blanketed Madrid yesterday, a day after Spain registered the lowest temperature ever recorded on the Iberian Peninsula of minus 34.1 degrees Celsius in the Pyrenees in the north. Boeing company will pay $2.5 billion to settle a criminal charge related to its troubled 737 MAX jetliner. The Justice Department announced the settlement yesterday, nearly 2 years after the second of 2 crashes that killed 346 people in all. Boeing is agreeing to pay money for cash or for crash victims' families, airline customers, and airlines, as well as a fine. The 737 MAX extended or entered service in 2017. The first crash occurred in October 2018 in Indonesia, and the second occurred 5 months later in Ethiopia. In both cases, an automated system pushed the noses of the planes down, and pilots were unable to regain control. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. Iran says it is in no hurry to see the U.S. return to a 2015 nuclear deal with major powers after Joe Biden takes office this month, but urging to lift the sanctions imposed by Trump after quitting the deal. The World Health Organization experts issues recommendations that the interval between administering 2 doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine can be extended to up to 6 weeks. And the Sultanate celebrates the Omani Environment Day amid tireless efforts to conserve the environment and protect its natural resources. And with that, we do conclude this news bulletin, brought to you live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman television, directed by Mohammed Al-Maqhami and Ahmed Al-Habsi, who was the editor-chief in English News. Thank you for joining us, and good night.